back, Roman Renegades. I'm Lupine Fiasco. This is Daily FaB Gameplay, and today we are playing FaB against Uzuri. For anyone who is new to the channel, welcome to the Resistance. What we do here is review replays of games that I played on the Talishar client days or weeks ago, after enough time has passed that I lose my bias and can more objectively judge the quality of my play. I'll talk through turn cycles and give my thoughts on the line I would take now, comparing that to the line I took then at the time of recording. We either learn from my mistakes or reinforce good play patterns with the overall goal of tightening and optimizing our gameplay in the future to take down paper events like the upcoming Calling Los Angeles and, most importantly, walk away with that shiny cardboard. If you'd like to check out the list I'm playing here or try it for yourself on Talishar, there is a FaBery deck link available in the video description below. While you're down there, if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to my channel. A YouTube subscription is the best free way to support me and to make sure that you see daily FaB gameplay in your video feed 5 days a week. If you have a few extra dollars kicking around, the best paid way to support me is through Patreon, and a Patreon link is also in the video description. A Patreon subscription will get you DFG Discord access. At higher tiers, your name will appear in every DFG video, you'll get bonus DFG content every week, and there are even more great benefits to come. Daily FaB gameplay will always be free 5 days a week, so for those who can afford to patronize me, I truly appreciate it. Let's talk about our sideboard and about the Uzuri matchup. Uzuri has been picking up some popularity in the meta lately. She is a great counter to KO, and if the Uzuri is able to crack the Draw My matchup or even just dodge, she has a very good chance of making it into the top 8 of any event. So, if we were going to bring FaB to the Calling or the Pro Tour, we would expect to run into at least 1 or 2 Uzuris, and it's good to know how to beat them. Winning the die roll, we want to go second. Uzuri is very likely to push some damage over on turn 0 with her hero ability. If she plays an Isolate, then Uzuri reacts a 6-power attack onto the chain. You're very likely to take damage. That said, her disruption is very minimal when we get to draw back up at the end of her turn. So going second gives us a significant boost in win rate in this matchup. I have been playing with the idea that we are running a Bravo loadout into this matchup. That means cutting our Art of Wars and playing our defense reactions. I've tried this matchup with both Mask of the Pouncing Lynx and Mask of Momentum, and have found that Pouncing Lynx is still a bit better, even if we are on that Bravo plan. I'm on Pouncing Lynx in the Bravo matchup as well. We are going to bring Furnace instead of Tunic, the difference being that Tunic is good in a long game, which Uzuri tends to be. That said, we do want to be able to block a Leave No Witnesses with armor if it means keeping a 4 or 5 card hand. It's also good just for blocking breakpoints like Naked, Shakedowns, or Command and Conquers, or even a Naked Leave No Witnesses. As I said, we are bringing in our Reinforce the Lines and Sink Belows. We are cutting our Art of Wars. We are running 63 cards in this matchup. That is a concession to Fatigue Uzuri and Fatigue Bravo. And given that we are FaB, most of our cards do the same thing. It is fine to run over 60. It is going to give us a little bit more protection in Fatigue matchups. If you wanted to go down to 60, your cuts would be 2 Flamecall Awakenings and 1 Phoenix Flame. The problem with that is having the second Phoenix Flame is very good anti-fatigue tech. You can pitch a blue at the end of your opponent's turn to pick up 1 Phoenix Flame from your discard. On your turn, you play that Phoenix Flame for 0 with Go Again. You pitch a second blue to attack with Emberblade for 3 with Go Again, and use your floating resource to pick up and play your second Phoenix Flame from discard. Hopefully you still have Shuko at this point. The second Phoenix Flame comes in for 2 with Go Again and unpreventable damage. Then you can play out any other cards in your hand, but this is great anti-fatigue tech because you are dealing 5 damage while keeping 2 cards in your deck at all times. Do we want to use our arsenal or not? Yes, we do. I have previously been of the opinion that we never use our arsenal to play around the effect of Leave No Witnesses or Command and Conquer. The problem with that is if we never use our arsenal, then Uzuri might as well have CNC or Leave No Witnesses every turn. That's the power we're giving her, and FaB's power goes way down if we are not playing out 5-card hands. The great thing about keeping defense reactions in your arsenal is that they blank the power of Codex of Frailty, which is a much worse effect than CNC or Leave No Witnesses. Reinforce the Line is definitely the best card to keep in your arsenal, as you can play around CNC. Reinforce the Line also gets around the effect of Flick Knives Nerve Scalpel, so you can definitely get one over on an Uzuri that way. That is the game plan. That is the rationale behind our sideboarding. Outside of that, we're making smart blocks. We're playing a tempo game. Generally, we are going to be able to outpace Uzuri. If we can set up a Spreading Flames turn, that is ideal. Outside of that, we're playing 2-card 7s, blocking well, and hoping to get there with our superior damage. So let's jump into the game and see how that all comes together. This hand is fine. It's fine for blocking, it's fine for offense. We don't love having 3 blues in the first 4 cards of our deck. We are going to block the Spider's Bite here. Normally, I would not block a Spider's Bite. It's 1 point of damage. Yes, we block worse. But on turn 0, considering that we are expecting Uzuri to react a 6-power attack off of the Isolate, we want to prevent damage when we can, assuming that we're only going to be able to block an Isolate with 1 card. However, Uzuri does throw E-Strike for 7, so we will just put our entire hand on the table. There's no reason to hold back a Lava Vein Loyalty or a Mounting Anger here. The Uzuri game can be very tight. We don't want to give up that early point of damage. Drawing into 4 more blues honestly feels really bad. It is statistically unlikely that we would have 7 blues in the top 8 cards of our deck. Not only does this mean that our first attack is going to be very weak, it means that we are unlikely to see a good distribution of blues throughout the rest of the game. FaB doesn't need very many blues to function, but he does want 1 per hand to pay for Mounting Anger, Spreading Flames, Ember Blade. So off to a rocky start, but we can still salvage it. We do want to keep a card in Arsenal here. It's going to be one of these Lava Vein Loyalties. So what our turn looks like is blue brand Ember Blade, then Mounting Anger. We want Mounting Anger to get the Shuko buff and come in with a Phoenix Flame at the end of the chain. It's going to be a weak turn. Hopefully Uzuri can give us some cards, but even if she doesn't, I mean, we go to war with the army we have, right? If we're drawing all blues, we make the best of the situation. I think here is me checking my discard to make sure, did I really draw 7 blues in the top 8 cards of my deck? And the answer is still yes. Mounting Anger, very likely to get blocked. If it doesn't, that's great. We push an extra point of damage by banishing our Phoenix Flame to it. Talishar recently implemented being able to react to your own Mounting Anger, Rising Resentment triggers. So you no longer have to do FaB's ability to grab your Phoenix Flame in the reaction step, which is really cool. That is a much needed change. Here is the all red hand, where we really would have liked to have a blue in here to pay for Flame Call Awakening and Ember Blade. Already Dead, really not worth blocking. It is just 6 damage. It will banish a card from the top of our deck. It's unlikely to generate a silver, considering what we have in our deck. The easy block here would be Flame Call Awakening and Sink Below. We could also use Sink Below and Furnace if we wanted to keep cards in hand. Blocking with Furnace when Uzuri has cards available is always risky, as if she shreds the Furnace, your Furnace will not have defense value at the end of the chain, and Temper will cause it to break. So using it this early to stop what is really just a vanilla 6 is not worth it. And what we get to do with this hand, if we keep all 4 cards, is play Rising Resentment, then pitch our Sink Below to play Flamecall Awakening, grab Phoenix Flame from our deck, play that Phoenix Flame, play our Lava Vein Loyalty to get our Shuko trigger, pick up the second Phoenix Flame from our discard, then pitch it to Flamescale Furnace to generate 2 resources. That lets us attack with Emberblade, and we finish the turn with Snatch. So we gain a lot more value by keeping this entire hand than we do by blocking with it. We are not at any risk of getting blown out by a Snatch. Also, if the Uzuri has something that gets it over the top of defense, we lose our defending cards as well, and Uzuri generates silver. So all around, just a bad idea to block that already dead, which is why we don't do it. We're just going to play out the hand on offense as I described. Working the Lava Vein Loyalty in before the Flamecall Awakening is fine. We are backloading our damage rather than front-loading it. Not that we're expecting Uzuri to block the Lava Vein Loyalty anyway, but say she had less life and was more concerned about this single point of damage, maybe she gives us a card which opens her up to taking damage later in the turn. It's a small decision point that could be relevant, very likely isn't, but just something to keep in mind, that this was properly sequenced as opposed to what I had described. Phoenix Flame comes in for 2. We aren't thinking about breaking Pouncing Links at all right now. 1, we already have a finisher, so we don't need to grab a second one. 2, Uzuri just has a lot of life left. We are more incentivized to use Pouncing Links later in the game when it represents a greater percentage of the enemy hero's remaining life total. Also, we've already used our Shuko trigger, so Salt the Wound here would have been our best grab for Pouncing Links, and it only comes in for 6. 6 is a good number for Pouncing Links, but we really do want to try to hit 7, which is possible when we do still have Spreading Flames and Lava Bursts in our deck. E-Strike for 7, we could put a Salt the Wound in front of this to prevent 3. On our turn, we Rising Resentment, Emberblade, Phoenix Flame, Salt. What I'm thinking about instead is taking the extra 3 damage by not blocking and keeping both salts, which lets us, worst case, arsenal Salt the Wound for a future turn, maybe looking to double finisher with Snapdragon Pouncing Links. Best case, Uzuri draws a fire hand, takes all of our damage, and we get to double Salt on this turn. So Salt has more potential to be good on offense than on defense, and E-Strike for 7 is not a disruptive effect. We are just going to keep both salts and see what we can do with them. Sniping a Fate Foreseen with our Rising Resentment is great value for us. Anything that gets extra block value for no benefit to Uzuri is exactly what we want to see. Additionally, Uzuri just taking damage from our chain links is perfect for us. Double Salt looking okay. The first Salt comes in for 5 with Shuko. If this hits, the second Salt will also come for 5. I don't know if I would break my Snapdragons for that, as opposed to arsenaling the Salt. I'm more likely to arsenal Salt and look for a 5-card turn. 4 cards maybe if I do have to block, but we have Salt as that finisher. Uzuri though plays Inertia Trap, and that presents us with a choice. we have our inertia token. We are not going to get to keep this Salt the Wound, so we need to decide now if we want to snap and play second Salt for 4, or if we just let this Salt go back into our deck. The nice thing for us about inertia is that it does not put the card from hand or arsenal into discard, just back into the deck, so it isn't fatiguing us. We still have a finisher left in deck for Mask of the Pouncing Lynx. As your assassin games drag on, it is more and more likely that you don't have a good Lynx target, so keeping track of your remaining finishers and which ones you've been pitching is really, really helpful. I've lost games to assassin because Lynx had to find Brand with Cinderclaw because I didn't have a Lava Burst or Assault. So there is a good reason to just let this Salt go back into our deck. I think if I'm making this call now, I like getting 4 points of damage from my Snapdragons. The difference before why I wouldn't have used snaps for 5 is that I would have gotten an arsenal. We use our snaps for 4 because we are playing off of a 4-card hand. It's unlikely that we are going to get to set up a double finisher with arsenal anytime soon. That's something I am interested in doing. And with our Pouncing Lynx, if we do draw into a hand that looks like a Draconic Starter, a blue, Lava Burst, we have the option to block with that second finisher, still coming with the first one, or even if we just have one finisher, we can block with that and look to use our Pouncing Lynx. So I like using the Snapdragon here, just playing out this Salt for 4 and moving on. The Inertia Trap was a big hit to us. Against Redline Uzuri, we wouldn't have to worry about Inertia Trap. To my knowledge, they do keep a clean 60, but against Fatigue Uzuri, we can be pretty sure that Inertia Trap is going to make an appearance. Infect for 3. Looking at our hand, it's pretty solid. Ronin Renegade, Ember Blade, Spreading Flames, Phoenix Flame, possibly Break, Pouncing Lynx Defined, Lava Burst for 7 is solid. We even still have a Sink Below for the arsenal, so I'm really not looking to block Infect here. If Uzuri breaks Black Tech Whisperers, we can play our Sink Below to prevent the hit. If Uzuri flips into something like a Shakedown, that's a little worse for us. We probably lose our Ronin Renegade, but even then we get to play out a 2-card 6 and arsenal a Sink Below. If Uzuri takes the Sink Below with a Shakedown, we still have a really solid 11 to 18 damage turn. If it is a surgical extraction and Uzuri, if it's a surgical extraction, we play our Sink Below. So all of this is to say that we're not going to block this Infect. We're going to see what Uzuri does with the card itself. Uzuri flipping into an already dead, perfect. We'll take 6, easy, done. Opening with the Ronin Renegade. There is no reason to lead with Spreading Flames here. We can keep that information hidden so that Uzuri doesn't know exactly how much damage we have coming for the rest of the turn. If she puts cards in front of Emberblade, she puts another card in front of Spreading Flames. She does not have the Whisperers available to block a 2-power Phoenix Flame, which would either get... if it got Flick Knife Spring Tunic, the game probably ends, or it just gets another card from her hand. So we'll play our Phoenix Flame for 2. We'll see if Uzuri wants to give us a card. We can grab our Lava Burst. But it is a second Inertia Trap. That's pretty devastating for us. We have no way to get over the top of it. We lose our Sink Below, and we're sitting on a 4-card hand. Dagger for 1 Uzuri has the tunic available, but as far as I know, she doesn't have a good one-card play for this. Without being able to check her graveyard in this replay, I'm not sure if she has a blue for looking for scrap. I wouldn't block a looking for scrap, even if she did have it. So we're looking at either a Leave No Witnesses follow-up or a Codex follow-up. In either case, we have defensive options. For a Leave No Witnesses play, with the Spider Bite damage, we can just block with E-Strike and Furnace to cover that up, send E-Strike for 7 on our turn and arsenal a Lava Burst. Alternatively, we could block with Lava Burst and E-Strike, then send E-Strike to play around 3rd copy of Inertia Trap. If it's a Codex, the pickup is still Leave No Witnesses. Even if we have to discard a card, we can still make our E-Strike Flamescale Furnace block, then send 2nd E-Strike. So we're not going to block the Spider's Bite. It's very unlikely that I will ever block a Spider's Bite. Also, we can look at Uzuri's discard and see that she does not have Leave No Witnesses. So a Codex follow-up here is really weak. Uzuri's going to grab Red Infect, which, like, we will still block Red Infect because we don't want to take 5. But what we can do is grab Snatch, discard Mounting Anger, block with E-Strike Flamescale Furnace. On our turn, we would want to E-Strike bottom Lava Burst for 5 go again to play around Inertia Trap, then send Snatch for 3. So Snatch here being the call. If we wanted to get greedy and trying to set something up, we could grab Spreading Flames. But I do really want to be mindful of 3rd Inertia Trap. It's unlikely that Uzuri has it, but we can still send a 3-card 8 with a relevant on-hit. Here we are going to block the Infect. We give up the front half of Furnace, we give up an E-Strike that we kind of just don't need, and we're also preventing 5 damage, so still a good trade on our part. Here, in-game, I am going to get greedy and send E-Strike for 7. If I remember correctly, I was not anticipating 3rd Inertia Trap. I think we should have been. I think without Inertia Trap, this is a better line. Send E-Strike for 7, keep our Snatch. It's a solid 1-card play. It lets us block more aggressively if we think we need to, and still have a solid follow-up. But 3rd Inertia Trap there just blows us out, and I think we really would have wanted to get in there with Snatch. Spider's Bite for 1. Again, not something we want to block. With this hand, I would like to be able to block with Mounting Anger, reinforce the line to stop something that Uzuri either plays or flips. On my turn, send Ronin Renegade Snatch and arsenal this Spreading Flames. We may have to give the back half of Furnace to pull that off. The Spider's Bite debuff makes Mounting Anger block for 1. Flamescale Furnace also blocks for 1, and Reinforce the Line gets us up to that 6. I am going to do that here. We don't play around Shred, but I also think we need to make Uzuri have it. This really overly safe line is to put Spreading Flames in front of this as well, and I think that's just too aggressive to play around Shred. This makes me feel great about my decision. Uzuri absolutely going to get blown out here. We are assuming that the follow-up, it really could be anything, right? Uzuri has a resource, she has Tunic. We haven't seen a Death Touch, we've only seen 1 Codex, so the follow-up there could really be anything. And this was the card she drew from her Ponder. So really there's nothing to tell us definitively what this card in Uzuri's arsenal is. Here, Uzuri drawing that 3rd Inertia Trap just a turn late. Unfortunately, it does not impact us at all. Here we see Uzuri make what is, in my opinion, a huge mistake. Treating Flick Knives as Iron Rot when you aren't taking lethal damage is such a big mistake in my experience. Flick Knives wins games as Uzuri. Getting to send like E-Strike Go again, FaB doesn't block, Uzuri flicks a Spider's Bite before playing out a Command and Conquer or a Shakedown is such a huge blowout. And using Flick Knives to stop a Snatch trigger when FaB doesn't have Go again or an action point and already has a card in hand is just such lost value that I'm not an Uzuri player. I don't know what the rationale would be here, but at least from my end, this seems like a huge mistake. But as the FaB player, great, sign me up. I am totally happy to see my opponent make a play like that. Uzuri using the Tunic, playing a CNC from Arsenal. Here, there really isn't a good option on how to block that doesn't involve giving up Lava Vein Loyalty and Lava Burst. On our turn, we keep our Spreading Flames arsenaled. We send that same 2-card 7 and try to reset after that. As far as finisher count, you will see me check my discard here, just making sure that we do still have 2 Lava Bursts, we still have 2 Tenacity. So Pouncing Link's definitely still online. And we are just going to send Brand Snatch. Sitting at a comfortable 19. As long as Uzuri isn't sending Disruption, we can just tank some damage. Getting the Fate Foreseen on Brand here is great value for us. It does make me think that the Snatch is likely to hit if Uzuri is committed to keeping 3 blocks, possibly for the Uzuri flip, possibly to play pay for daggers. Counting D-reacts here, seeing that Uzuri very reasonably has 3 left, 1 Fate, 2 Sinks. And we get a single Death Touch out of Uzuri. So Uzuri taking 2. We get our Snatch trigger. Again, no action point, no Go again. We don't need it. We can think about what Uzuri could have for this Isolate. Looking in her discard, the only thing it can't be is already dead. Uzuri still has Command and Conquer, she still has Leave No Witnesses, she still has Death Touch, Surgical Extraction, which is to say that with the Dominate on Isolate, this is not worth blocking. We cannot cover a CNC or a Shakedown. We can't even cover a Surgical Extraction without giving armor, so we're just going to take this damage and hope for the best. Really is our best line. Uzuri flipping into Shakedown. The Shakedown call is for yellow. Uzuri, I guess, putting us on Art of War. Unfortunately, she does hit a Yellow Rising Resentment, so it didn't do nothing, but it leaves us with a very strong 4-card hand. We're going to open the Spreading Flames. We are going to follow up with Blue Brand, which gets the Spreading Flames buff. We are then going to use our second resource to pick up and play Phoenix Flame. We want this to be a double Spreading Flames turn, and we're hoping that Uzuri is going to give us our Mask of Pouncing Links, which is going to let us find and play Lava Burst for 7. Unfortunately, the Shuko trigger is going to the Phoenix Flame, but it's better for us to, or in my opinion at least, work Spreading Flames, second Spreading Flames into this turn and get our Phoenix Flame to help sequence and get 2 more points onto second Spreading Flames than it is for us to try and get an Ember Blade in here and also keep a Spreading Flames in Arsenal. I want to get this Spreading Flames out of my arsenal. It's been here for too long. I'm feeling unsafe about Leave No Witnesses, Command and Conquer, so let's just send a really strong turn. Second Spreading Flames is going to come in for 5. It gets its own buff as well as the first Spreading Flames buff. And Lava Burst is going to come in for 7. So Uzuri does get to block out the Spreading Flames unless this is a defense reaction. She is just going to take 7. Not playing the card in Arsenal makes me think Leave No Witnesses Codex. Not playing the card in Arsenal again makes me think Death Touch, CNC, Shakedown, Surgical Extraction. Something that cannot be played with one card. This hand is fine. Brand, Emberblade, Phoenix Flame, Phoenix Flame. I don't want to Arsenal anything here. We don't need to. We are really on the offensive. We smell blood in the water at this point. Uzuri's at 3. Most of our hand forces her to block. So we're just going to send the entire thing. Never Arsenal a Phoenix Flame. We do have 2 Phoenix Flames here. We could, in theory, Arsenal one, give up our Shuko trigger just to make sure that we have a 5-card hand for the rest of the game. Make sure that a hand like Blaze Headlong, Lava Bane Loyalty, Snatch doesn't just brick us. But if we get hit with a Leave No Witnesses and lose our Phoenix Flame to Banish, that's like the worst thing that could possibly happen to us. We are able to get 1 point of damage through Uzuri's defense. We strip the hand. We are about to see what this card in Arsenal is. If it's Death Touch, this is the play. If it is Command and Conquer, Surgical Extraction, Shakedown, Uzuri probably just loses the game. So this is Death Touch for 6. Presumably Death Touch for 8. If we get hit with a Blood Rot Pox, that takes us to 5. Looking at our hand, it's serviceable. We really wish one of these blues was a starter. But even so, we can take our effectively 8 here. At the end of Uzuri's turn, we pitch Nasty Surprise to FaB to pick up one of our 2 Phoenix Flames on our turn. Phoenix Flame for 0, Lava Vein Loyalty for 2, pitch Tenacity to Emberblade for 3, activate FaB to pick up and play second Phoenix Flame for 1, then Lava Burst for 5. Super solid line. We don't need to get defensive here, and in fact our defensive option is pretty bad. We block for 6, put a Tenacity back in our deck. On our turn, we pitch Tenacity to Emberblade for 3, and Arsenal a Lava Burst, but I don't want to give Uzuri time. I don't want to give Uzuri the ability to dominate in a Shakedown, another Death Touch, something that is more time to find her codices. We just need to keep up the pressure, keep her on the back foot, keep her blocking with her entire hand, or even just, if she gets to keep 1 card, if she sends a Leave No Witnesses for 4, we have no Arsenal, there is no follow-up to that. We can go to 3 if it means keeping a 4-card hand that is going to get damage through Uzuri's blocks. So we are just on the offensive. Uzuri does have the Sigil there, which is probably better than a 3-block. At the same time, Lava Burst is going to compensate for that life gain. We are still keeping up the pressure. Lava Vein Loyalty plus the Phoenix Flame is 3 damage. Emberblade is 3 damage. Lava Burst is 5 damage. So Uzuri does come away with a slight life gain off of that Sigil, but it isn't as good as she needs it to be. Lava Burst still has the potential to put her to 1 if she wants to keep this last card in hand. And again, the worst thing this could be is a Codex for Leave No Witnesses, which we have the ability to block. If it is just Leave No Witnesses, then we very likely win the game. We can block this with Sink Below. We don't need to sink anything. Our turn is going to be Brand with Cinderclaw, Searing Emberblade, Mounting Anger, Phoenix Flame with Shuko trigger. Uzuri has to block the Brand, she has to block the Ember Blade. If she has the D-React, then she can 1-card block the Mounting Anger and then give her last card to block the Phoenix Flame. But if she does not have a D-React, and we know she's running low, then she has to give 2 cards to block Mounting Anger and dies to the Phoenix Flame. So we are just going to cover up the Leave No Witnesses with Sink Below. We are going to send a 4-link turn and see if Uzuri can deal with it. If she can, great. We're just going to draw back up into 4 cards and have another chance at killing her. Or she dies. At this point, unless we brick, which is pretty difficult for us to do, Uzuri has just lost the game. She will never get to take another game action outside of blocking. This is the moment of truth to see if Uzuri can 1-card block the Mounting Anger. And we see that she cannot, so the game has ended. And we even win at an effective 7 health. Shuko, still hanging out with us, would let us do that 5 damage 2-card play that leaves us card neutral if we're just pitching blues. So a solid game overall. I think we definitely got lucky with what Uzuri was seeing with her Uzuri flips. If those already deads at the start of the game had been shakedowns, this is a much different game for us. If she sees some codices, number 2 or number 3, then this is a different game for us. But our defense reactions were very helpful. I'm very high on D-reacts now. Shout out to David. I did you dirty in ProQuest. You were right. So I hope you enjoyed this game. I hope you learned something. I am expecting to see maybe not a lot of Uzuri in Los Angeles. The Dromai threat is still very real, but outside of that, I think Uzuri is a solid choice. She is converting to top 8, so expect to see her. If you think this video will help you deal with Uzuris, be sure to head jab that like button. My comments are always open for any questions or feedback. Again, if you have not already done so, please consider subscribing to my channel. It's free. It helps me out. But no matter what you do, catch me back here tomorrow for more daily FaB gameplay. And until then, take care.